Alright guys, it's Matt here again. I've got another opponent. This time I'll be playing Sid Murali. Wow, that's a lucky start. I've just pulled jumpers for 102. And yeah. I presume jumpers is a word. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but wow. Alright, so the deal on Sid. Sid is about, I think, 1750, 1800 in NASPA. He's up and coming pretty quickly as well. He plays more defensive than almost anybody I know, to the point where people have called him paranoid. So our games very often turn into, closed board grind fests where there's no hope of either player bingoing. So it's pretty huge that I jumped out to a lead this big this early. That's lucky. That's dumb luck right there. And open with it vertically because that's obviously what you're supposed to do on the first turn. Couple different options with this current rec. I can dump XU, keeping AEINT. I've got an open R and S as it is right now, but Sid's probably going to change that. There's Junta or Jaunt. I'd prefer Junta because it sets up the X to go on top right here. Really, that's all I see right now. I don't think I'm going to bingo out of this rack with any friendly one-tile placement by Sid. And playing XU right now is probably not what I need to do. I've already got a 100-point lead. Keeping bingo-oriented tiles like AEINT, while, can very often lead to bingos. If I pull two vowels or something like that into AEINT, I'm going to be scoring, 12 points next turn or 16 or something like that. So it's a boom or bust strategy, especially keeping three vowels and two consonants like I'd be doing. And boom or bust is not exactly what you want to be doing when you're already in the driver's seat in a game, winning by 100 points. Again, we'll see what Sid responds, because if he responds with the counter bingo, then, well, everything I've been talking about doesn't matter. He does not counter bingo, that's nice. He also blocks the spot to play XU. I do have Xenia here for 44. That slots an A and a triple line, right above this double letter. He's going to hit me for 45 or something a lot. Movie kind of implies that he's holding vowels, but, drawing four new tiles. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have Xenia. That's EE. That is Collins. That is not TWL, so that's not actually a valid play. I've still got the Junta option available. And I guess, Oxen is a pretty terrible play, but if I really wanted to make it, I could. It opens up a bingo line here, some stuff here. It would be kind of nice to get rid of this S if I play something like 6, but that's, so few points, and it's just not a very good play. I think Junta's the thing to do, set up XI next turn. That's going to give Sid some points back, but I'll think about this a little bit harder. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I feel like there's a bingo here. ANTIFIXA and things are pretty close. Maybe there's not. XI is a strong play, but again, it sets this up for Sid, and if he's got any high-scoring tile, a H or an F or a W or a Y or a J, well, the J's out, he's going to score 50 points. We'll see what his next play is and respond accordingly. There's also fixes to this S. That's pretty nice. It still scores well and kind of closes down the board. I still feel like there's a bingo in this rack. I'm just not recognizing it yet, but if I were down, maybe I would consider XIS setting up a front A, but definitely not in a situation where I need to be doing that. Sid has played KOS and Juntas, and that gives me FIXATIVE for 47 points. There's a little bit of consideration that Sid could make an enormous play with OXO or Oxy, but more likely as he dinks here for 30 and kind of walls himself in as I keep a pretty strong leave. I'd rather not be keeping this many vowels, but not going to complain right now. Fix is just so many points, I've got to make that play. I draw 2 consonants and a vowel. I'm going to bingo again next turn, and unfortunately it's looking like this game's going to be a blowout. Adenoid or aneroid or amidone domain. Yeah, domain is currently the best bingo I see for 89. Just lots of stuff. Excellent pulling on my end right now. Maybe I've got a 9 through this TI. There's ideation, iodinate as the 8s in there, but I don't know what kind of 9s I could make. Sid bingos, so at least maybe I won't blow him out. I've got like Oedipian through this E, but domain is so much. I'm going to think for just a little while to see if I can find another bingo. That might be better. Adenoid, aneroid, amidone domain, codeina, CODEINA, but that's not going to go. Navoid, or nevoid, I guess it would be. Nevoid? I think that's how you say it, NAEVOID. Yeah, I think domain is just the play to make. Oh, I didn't think about it until right now, but ADO right here is actually, how many points is that? 35. Oh, you know, ADO is probably the thing to do. Just going too fast. Got excited about bingoing. ADO is 45. 45, I keep EIN blank. That's gotta be the correct play, and it's more defensive. I've pulled coward here, but that's not gonna go down. That would just kind of be cruel if it did. Crow or crew go down here for 48. I do need to slow down. I do have a tendency to, when it looks like I'm gonna win a game, just go into turbo mode, autopilot, and play as fast as I can. Crowd makes da. I can't do that yet. Dang. That's the second Collins 2 I've tried to play this game. It's always tough for me trying to decide between EE and EO as a leave on my rack. You know, there are some tiles that EE goes better with and some tiles that EO goes better with, and kind of goes back and forwards on those. Given that there are only 3 E's left, I think it's okay to keep both of mine. I'm probably not going to triplicate them. So I'm going to play Crow here. Did not triple my R's, so that's good, or my E's. Just lots and lots of scoring opportunities. Beheld here is 44. So for all this talk I was doing about Sid being a defensive player, I was able to draw a lot of bingos very fast, and he was not able to close this board down, and now he's not in a situation where he needs to be shutting this board down. I don't think... Oh, okay, he did block Beheld, so I'm going to have to think harder about this turn. I hate when I have to think. I don't think I can 8 with that R. I really don't think I can with that C either. HEBE right here is going to score a bunch. I'd like to knock this C out. There's a lot of bingos that start with C. In fact, I think the most words start with the letter S, the second most start with the letter C. So this is a very conducive line for Sid right now, and it'll score about 90 if he can hit it. So Want to get rid of that. Bingo's down 2 this C are going to be much rarer, so I want to play underneath. Hebe also, it just looks nice and defensive. It does take Thebe in front, a T, but I just want to shed that B, score a lot of points. I'm going to play Hebe. Another option, I guess, would have been Delph through this P, DEL, PH. That holds ABE and scores 25. That's just not as good. There's no way. I did get rid of both of those E's. And now I'm left without one, but Hebe was just such a strong play. It's going to be hard for me to lose this game at this point. Sid is probably going to open the board in some way this turn. He almost needs to. So we'll see what he does, and probably the rest of this game is just going to be a sort of Sid opens the board, and then Matt closes the line that Sid has opened for more points than Sid scored, and then Sid opens the board, and then Matt closes that spot too. It's important for me to try and keep like relatively balanced leaves. It would be terrible if Sid opens a triple-triple and I'm sitting on 7 vowels and can do nothing to stop it. But as long as I've got like a vowel and a consonant in my leaves, I should be okay. I don't think that's going to be the case this turn if Sid opens, because I'm probably going to have to use this A to knock out the spot, but it's a shame. Sometimes in Scrabble, people bag other people. And, he's not completely sunk yet, but very close. So Sid does open the board up, and he actually puts a G here, so I'm not going to be able to block everything completely. He could maybe bingo from this E. I can play Gland. Like, there's an outside chance that Sid has perfect underlaps or a bingo starting in an E or an O to go here. More likely is Sid just scores a bunch of points here, and then he's able to create a line on top and on bottom, and that's not going to be good for me. A play like AD is going to score less. It's going to allow me to bingo more next turn, which I really don't care about right now. I've got enough points. But if I were in a situation where I was going for spread, I'd make a closing play like this. Sid would open again, and then I would try and bingo in the spot that Sid has just opened. I believe eland is a word, and that'll set up my S. I've got the last one. Bingos from an N are pretty unlikely. The D will give me so much back. It scores so little that I don't care if he hits one. It's also going to be kind of easy for me to throw some word right here and end the game, or at least end this part of the board. I'm going to do this, just see what happens. Pulled a bunch of consonants. Again, there's just a glimmer of hope for Sid here if he's able to maybe bingo right here and I'm sitting on all consonants and can't address the triple word spot. My next play is probably going to be Les. Sid plays Ogival. I've also got ads. It's 26. Scrabble's easy when you have all consonants because there's really only a couple options you even have to consider. I'm going to go ahead and play Les. And I draw Val Val, which is huge. I don't think I've got a 6 starting with the S that goes here, unless I think skewed might actually be good. I know skewed is. I'm in no sort of situation where I want to be losing a turn. I can't think of almost any situation where you'd want to put yourself in a position to lose a turn, but I guess if you're down a lot and desperate, you could try it. I would say I'm about 40% sure that skewed is a word. It's nowhere near certain enough for me to play it in this situation. I just don't need to. I guess I've got some cool plays making Thebes that'll score really well, but the S again is going to be pretty powerful for E-lands. I wonder if Sid will play me in a rematch right after this, because this is just a no thought going into my plays. I'm just drawing extremely well and winning. I would even say that, I made a pretty bad mistake missing ADO on this turn. Or maybe even ANODE. ANODE would have been a lot of points. Yeah, I don't need to play a bingo in that situation. A play like ANODE is going to... I don't even want to know how many points ANODE is going to be. I think it'll be 57, which is just absurd. Oh, it's infuriating that I missed that. One of my least favorite things in Scrabble is realizing in the middle of a game that I have made a mistake earlier in that game. It sets me on tilt like almost nothing else. That and probably losing a challenge. I have this thing where I really like to know that I am playing perfectly, or I at least like to think I'm playing perfectly, and once I see that I've made a mistake or know that I've made a mistake in a game, I no longer feel like I deserve to win that game, and it really does get in my head. Boy, how often do you start off a game with a 102-point bingo? That's just lucky. Can't remember if cutty is a word. I feel like I've let cuttier go and it was no good. But maybe it doesn't compare. Maybe it's a noun. Cutty has to be a word, but I'm pretty sure I've let cuttier go against Chris Schneider. I can tell you the tournament, I can tell you which table we were sitting at even. But I'm so I would have seen that cutty weren't a word, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. In a situation where I'm like 95% sure that is valid. And Sid hasn't challenged it yet, so it probably is good. I've also pulled ferrets this turn. It's not going to go down. It's going to be almost impossible for Sid to give me a spot to play ferrets too. Unless he makes some crazy play like HIN trying to draw the S and then set it up and then I bingo instead. But I can play ferrets through the T, I guess, but frets would be better. Sid challenged it, and it is good, so he kind of needed to in that situation if there was any doubt on his end. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe I blocked a high-scoring play of his as well. I'm just going to go ahead, well, hang on. Oh, that's AF, that's not a word. Reef goes here. That's 31. There's no E's left, there's very few vowels left. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to an E and make this play. really doesn't matter what I'm doing in this situation. And for an ISC game, I'm not going to play for spread. Of course, I tell myself that anytime. I can justify it on ISC by saying it doesn't matter. I can justify it at a tournament because I'm conserving my brain power for a different game. I can say it. I can say it pretty much any time and justify it unless I'm at the end of a tournament and genuinely need spread. So maybe I'm hurting myself by never playing for spread. I'm just going to play curb. No reason to keep that U now that the Q is gone. Drawing Tannery now. I just literally can't stop drawing bingos this game. Bingos and nicely balanced racks. And that's a situation where, you know, I'm probably going to hit 500, but I easily could have hit 600 if the board were more open. Just drawing really well this game. Scrabble's dumb sometimes. And I guess I would play like Tari or something. I don't know. That's only 18. I thought that was more. Like maybe I want to undouble these ends. I'm not really sure. I feel like Sid was doing most of the right things. When he was down, when you're down as much as he was down, some people would think maybe just play off like one or two tiles and try as hard as you can to draw into a bingo and get back into the game. I think that's probably wrong, because if you're scoring 14 or bingoing, it's going to be hard to get back into the game. I feel like if you can score 40 or 35 and then just get really lucky and draw into a bingo, then suddenly maybe you're back in the game. But just keep scoring and hope that the tiles will bail you out in some crazy way. I learned recently that juntos, Juntos, takes a three-letter front extension to conjuntos, but I don't think juntas does the same thing. And Sid is probably in that unfortunate situation where he sees that he can maybe draw a bingo, and so he's trying to calculate the ways of maximizing his chances of getting that bingo down. But sitting on my end, like I know that there's not an E in the bag or an R, and he's not going to bingo, I think. I guess he's got like HOO plays that would go down for a lot. HOOT is really the only one, or Moot or Moon. That he hasn't played yet kind of implies maybe that there's an O in the bag. This really doesn't matter to me at all because Sid is going to. It doesn't matter what Sid plays. I'm still going to be faced with the same situation regardless of what one tile he draws. Yeah, Apologies for the yawning. And the congestion. I guess my allergies are kicking up. I've never had allergies, but I'm all congested this morning and tired. No fever, but I think this has been the most boring game for my YouTube channel thus far. I don't think I've had a superb game that I've played, though. I played a really good one against Jackson Smiley that would have been great, except I ran into time trouble at the end of the game, and it ruined what would have been a fascinating end game. I decided not to upload that. This is back when I was doing games at 15 minutes aside, and then I decided that with me talking and justifying all the plays I'm making, it's not enough time to do 15 minutes. Sid plays Malta. I've never seen that word before. I don't especially think that's a word. I'd like to challenge it. I've really got nothing to lose except spread. I'm going to win the game regardless. I think Sid's best out is NOO. I'm going to challenge it. It's good. Yeah, if I'm in a different game situation, I think that through a little more. But hey, I learned a word this way. I probably won't forget it anytime soon. O and O goes down here for 13. NOO goes there for 15. Yep. Alright, well, that was a good game, I guess. Not much to say. I drew very well. Thanks for watching.